Okay, Assalamualaikum. Very good morning to all. Today will be our next class for programming techniques. Okay, thank you for the participation in the last week quiz. Excuse me. Okay, so last week, okay, we did our hand-on test. Is it difficult last week? I want to ask everybody, is it difficult? Is it difficult? Anybody can answer? What is your opinion on about last week? Because
Yes.
it's difficult. Is it difficult, Alphonsus?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, doctor.
How is it difficult? That one is one of my easiest question lah. One of the easiest question lah. So usually we don't give that kind of question to computer science students. We give a little bit more difficult one lah. So last week is one of the easier question because we did not apply any techniques like for looping. Okay, it's just calculation, right? Am I right? So you just do calculation. So you have to analyze the calculation of electricity bill based on the usage. So it's not that big, but not that difficult in terms of programming. It is just difficult according to mathematical calculation. You need to know what steps you should do first. And then based on that step, you do the programming. So that one is one of my favorite question to give to students. So some after 1 or 2 years, if I am teaching engineering or science student, I will give that kind of question because that kind of question reflects to your mathematical ability to analyze and solving those kind of problems. Okay, so if you think that is difficult, okay, you should be careful because the final will be much more difficult. Okay, the final exam you will have 3 hours. Okay, you will have 3 hours to do the programming. Okay, we will do it just like what we did in hand-on test. But instead of copy paste, because I had a lot of problem with copy paste, maybe later on you have to submit the C file, .c file. Okay, so later on, for your hand-on test 2 and your final exam, I might need you to submit the C file. Okay, so it will be much more difficult because we will include a lot more techniques that is very important. Okay, very important. Excuse me, I'm not feeling well actually this week. Okay, techniques that is important, like for example, the float, the recursive point, which is for while, do while, and also this week we will continue in array. So array is one of the most difficult concept that I will introduce to you for the semester. Okay, array is the most difficult. Actually, for one of the most difficult for the computer science student is pointer. But for FIS student, I will not give you question regarding pointers because pointers is quite difficult. It's just it's good for you just to enjoy them later on. So pointers, the class for pointer will be next week. So this week we will go and look into array. So array, okay. For you who aware in your middle school, in your secondary school, you learn about matrix. Okay, matrix number. Okay, matrix number. Do you guys know about matrix number? You guys knew matrix number. You learned all the term before, right? Matrix number.
Yes, sir.
So how to calculate matrix number, how to apply matrix number. Okay. So here today, okay, we will discuss on how to create array, which is a part of the one of the components that required you to learn in case you want to apply matrix number. So actually, some of you might see this. This is familiar, like we have done it before because you did apply matrix number in your hand-on test. You did apply array in your hand-on test before. So if you use a scanf for name, how many alphabet in your name? Like for example, 10 alphabet. This means you are using array with 10 alphabet. Okay, so it's the same concept, but it's a little bit further explored today. Okay, so the objectives for today is to introduce you the array basics of names, data type. Oh wait, you guys cannot see properly, right? Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, So basically, okay, the objective for today is to introduce you the basic of names, data types, and index when you use array, and then to initialize the array. How do you initialize an array? Okay, how do you initialize them in definition time? How do you initialize them during program execution? And how do you select element from array? And then how do you work with two-dimensional array? Okay, if I say that for last week you only use around single dimensional array, okay, how do you work on two-dimensional array, and how you will you be capable to manipulate all those array operations? Okay, so array, there are a few dimensions. Okay, one dimensions, like for example one row with 10 alphabets, so that is one dimension. Two dimension means that you have 10 rows with two dimension. Then you have three dimension, four dimension. So my experience doing coding in my PhD, I work with array which consists of six dimension. Okay, six dimension means a lot of combination. Okay, so okay, the array is basically a list of more than one variable having the same name. Means that you have a lot of information that you want to convey using one variable. Okay, like for example, if I could mention that I have a variable students. Okay, and in my class I have 30 students. So when I have 30 students in my class, how do I create variable for 30 students? But sometimes only 29, 28 students coming in. How do I create a variable of 30 students? So I create a variable of student based on their name with 30 rows of names, 30 rows of name. And for each name, I have 10 alphabets, example. So here I have an array with columns with 30 rows and 10 columns. So something like that. Okay, so here is example of two-dimensional array. So array is a fixed size collection of consecutive memory location. So in computer science, okay, we have your computer. Your computer have what we call memory, and array is information that being stored as consecutive data. So it continues. It's one set of data in all this memory location. So each memory location accessed by a relative address called index or subscripts. So index is what important in your array, and all the index starts with 0, and it can go up until 100, 200 based on the capability of your computer processing them. So we have one-dimensional array that you have been used before in your hand-on test for names, and we have today we will focus more on multi-dimensional array. So basically, an array is described like a block of building containing a number of houses, and each houses has different number address as a reference. So it's like this box with different number attached. Okay, this one is a first row, second row, third row, fourth row, something like that. And for each row, it might contain one information, like for example, a character, alphabets, or numbers based on what you use them for. So you have this row. Okay, like an example, you want to collect information of age. Okay, as a person age. So you have 5 person giving you information. Okay, their age are 23, 32, 18, 20, 35. So the way you want to combine all those age information is by creating only one variable, age, with 5 items inside it. Okay, so item 0. Okay, the number, the index will start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to call like what is the first person age, so the first person age is age 0, 23. And then the second person age is age 1, 32. Third person age 2, 18, 5, 18. Person 4 age 3, 20, and person 5 age 4, 35. When you initialize, when you define the variable age, you need to define it as a variable with how many elements. So in case you have elements, 5 elements, okay, the index of those elements will start from 0 until 4. This means that you have 5 elements here. The number, index number for the variable age start with 0 until 4. Okay, this one in terms of characters. Okay, like what you did before in your hand-on test, you have character name 5. So here I have 5 characters that being represented by alpha. So this alpha 5, alpha 0 is I, alpha 1 is S, alpha 2 is M, alpha 3 is I, alpha 4 is T. So these are one variable. I'm sorry, this is spelling mistake here. It's supposed to be ALPHA. Okay. So here for each row, okay, there are indexes that represent one alphabet. Okay, so it looks like this. So for array, okay, you can define it like this. Okay, for single dimensional array, like in case of integer, a number, you define it as integer num 10. Okay, for characters, character alpha 5. So num means that num 0 can be any number, 2, 10, 14, as long as it's an integer. Alpha 0 can be any character, okay, A until whatever symbol that you use. Float means that they are floating numbers, okay, 0 0.1, 0 0.2. And here you have character name 2, 10, means that they are in two-dimensional. Means that there are two names that can be as long as 10 alphabet each. Okay, so character 1, character name of character, the name 1 and sorry, the name 0 can be a name of as long as 10 alphabet. Name name 0 and name 1. Okay, they are 2%. 2% name 0 and name 0 and name 1. So name 00 means that the first alphabet in the first person name. Name 10 means the first alphabet in the first person name. Okay, so in the second person name. So you need to remember when you start looking into those data for this variable, for example, into name, when you index the variable, all the index should start with 0, like this one. Alpha 0 is I. So it means that the first alphabet in alpha is I. Okay, so everything start with 0. Okay, so how do you declare the declaration of this 10 integer number? Okay, declaring an array of 10 integer number. So when you declare num 10, okay, it looks like this. Num 0 is the first, second, third, fourth, okay, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. Okay, so this is num. Num, they have 10 numbers inside each box. What 10 numbers and one numbers inside each box. It can be any numbers which is integer. And then you have alpha here. Okay, alpha can be any characters inside them. And then you have bond here. It can be any float characters inside here. And then you have name. You have name 0 and name 1. Okay, you need to remember that these are representing the memory location. So you have memory location like a cabinet inside your computer, and all cabinet is being called based on this variable. And inside each cabinet there are data, okay, that you put them in. Either it's a number or it's alphabets, okay, depending what you are using them for. Hello? Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, doctor.
Okay. So here we mentioned that the first definition of array, okay, the first number here in the bracket representing row, and the second number representing column. So if it's one number only at the back, it representing how many rows? The second number representing column. Okay, so let's do some exercise here. I will do some demonstration. Okay, so declaring an array name y that can store up until 20 integer number. Okay, so let's open up your code blocks here. Okay, let's create new. Okay, new empty file, and then you save as. Okay, so this week is chapter 6. Okay, good. So now let's try to create some input. Okay, include stdio.h. Okay, so we have our program ready to type in. Okay, so the question number 1, declare an array name y that can store up to 20 integer numbers. So it's easy. Integer y 20. Okay. Okay, so here when you see we did not fill in anything yet inside this variable. Okay, so let's start to fill in something inside this variable. So I'll go back to the last week class 4. I equals 0. I lebih kecil, I less than 20, I plus plus. So we are using 4 today. Okay, I want you guys to explain to me what am I doing right now. Okay, okay, y I equal I. So anybody can tell me what am I doing right now? So better put it here. Let's see. Wrong. This one is a simple code. Okay, where you see my code like this, what do you think it represents? Simple one. I'm using the number one question. Okay, let me demonstrate to you this one. Okay. Okay, what does it represent? Oh, I think I need to put this one. /n. Okay, should be okay. So this is what it represents. Okay, if you can see my screen here, magnifier. Oh, what's wrong? Oh, I cannot use magnifier. Okay, so again, I run it. Okay, if you can see here, this is the result of the output. Okay, hope you can see it. Can you guys see it? Can you guys see this?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, so here you can see that, okay, for I equals 0 and up until I equal 19. Okay, so here in this case, I want to put in variable y, all the information from variable y, and I'm calling out, okay, all the information of this variable. Okay, so let's put in, okay, let's change it a little bit. Let's I mention it here, y, I. Okay, let's change a little bit. Okay, as you can see here, I am doing an array. Okay, so this array, this looping here is that I want to fill in data inside this array. If I don't fill anything, okay, this array, all of them will be zero, basically zero, none, or null, no information inside this array. So I'm using this for to fill in data in all the rows in the array. Okay, if you can see that here, I am filling data of for each loop, the loop number, okay, inside each array. Okay, you can try and copy. I'll share it in the message. You can try it in your codes. Okay. Okay. So here, what you see that I have 20 loops. 20 loops available here. Okay, 20 loops available here. And from start with loop 0 until loop 19. So for each loop, it is storing the loop number in all this array. So when I'm calling out, okay, the array, what is the value inside this array and this number? You see? Okay, this means that this is information that it recalls the content of this variable. Okay, the content of this variable. So let's do a little bit, let's call magic. Okay, what if I put in 2 times I? What will happen? Let's close this one first. Okay, when I put it 2 times I, you can see that the information stored in y, okay, according to the number, they are a little bit different. You see, they are doubled from the amount that I have of the loop number, double the amount of the loop number. Okay, so let's do a little bit more different. Okay, let's just put in, let's just play around with I for at the end. We want it to show uh, 2 times I. Okay, so let's play around like this. What will happen? Okay, you see that there are some weird thing coming out. See? So what is happening here? Okay, for example, loop 0, 2 times 0 is loop 0. So 2 times 0 is 0. And here y 2 times 0 is 0. And then we go to loop, the first loop, 2 times I, 2 times 1 is 2. And then y 2 times 1 is y2. Okay, y2. But we did not insert any information in y2 yet. Okay, we did not insert any information in y2 yet because we currently in the first loop, y1. So these are a random system number that has been inserted here. This one may be in the memory location there. So the calculation is wrong. Okay, so when you do a coding, when you do the coding, so you need to make sure that you stay in a logic zone that you can think of. Okay, don't go a little bit further too far. Okay, so make sure that the calculation can be correctly applied like this. Okay, so if you want, if in case you put this one outside, okay, if you put this one outside of the loop, what will happen? Okay, when you look back, it only produced the last one, y20 equal 20. Okay, so let's do a little bit, okay, different here. If, okay, if, let's go on like this first lah. This one go too far. Okay, like in this case, I want to do it a little bit more different. If I equals 0, I is less than 20, I plus 2. Okay, what do you think will happen here? Oh, something is wrong. So what is the problem here? Oh, supposedly I equal I plus 2. Okay. As you can see here, okay, start with 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So right now we have only 10 loops. 10 loops because we are skipping the odd number loops. Okay. So then if we try 5. Okay, if we try 5, we only got 4 loops. 0, 5, 10, 15. You see? Okay, if we try 4, we got 5 loops. Okay, we have 5 loops, 0, 4, 8, 12, 16. Okay, so you can play around like this. Okay, if you want with loops. Okay, if you want to start with 20, more than 0, let's do it a little bit different. It's a reverse one. I minus minus. Okay, you can see that the answer is 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. Okay, downwards calculation. And if you do it, equal 1 minus 2. Okay, what will happen next is, okay, this is the answer. Okay, it will skip the odd number and only produce you 2, 4, 6, 20, 18 up until 2. Okay, okay. So why 0 did not appear? Because I put it more than 0. If I put it more and equal than 0, the 0 will appear. Okay, as you can see here, you can see the 0, right? So this is how do you play around with array. Okay, so let's go towards the second question. Okay, declare an array name price of type float that can store up until 10 floating number. Wow, float that can store up until 10 floating number. So let's try do it. Price. So this one is right. Float price. Okay, 10. Okay, so we have this float price 10. Okay, we start with 0 until less than 20. And we go with I plus plus. So I plus plus is equal to I equal I plus 1. So a shorter version of I equal I plus 1 is I plus plus. Okay, so here let's try and make it variable price. Price I is equal I divided by 10. Okay, I plus 1. Let's do I plus 1 divided by 10. Okay, so here is price. And this is I, this is price I. Okay, so let's run it. So what do you think will happen next for the second question? Okay, you see that my answer here, all of them are 0. 0, 0, 0. What's wrong? Sir made this wrong. Okay, this is bad. Sir did it wrong. No, I did it wrong. But in a sense that it's not the entire code is wrong. It's just this one, %d. I need to change this to %f because price is a float. So when you want to display floating number, you have to use %f. So when I run it, you can see, okay, I get it. 0, 1. Okay, so what is this actually? Okay, so here you can see that. Okay, so here you can see that I'm not sure what's wrong. So here, okay, so here where you see I is from 0 until 19. So here price 0 is equal 0 plus 1 divided by 10, supposedly equal to 0 0.1. Okay, supposedly equal to 0 0.1. So what did I do wrong? Anybody can help me with this? Okay, 0 0.1 divided by 10. Maybe I need to put this. Okay, when I run this one, oh, still something wrong here. Price is equal, price I is equal I plus 1 divided by 10. Something wrong. Maybe I need to change this one into float. What happened? I change this float. Oh, error here. Subscript is not an integer. So what did I do wrong? Anybody can help me understand what did I do wrong? Theoretically, it can is supposed to give a correct answer here. Okay. Never mind. Instead of divide 10, let's do calculation times 0 0.1. Maybe this is some syntax error here. I mistakenly inserted. Okay, this time it's correct answer. Maybe the problem is with my division symbol there. Wrong division symbol. So here, in this case, what I did is I try to make it a floating number by timing 0.1. So you see that the first array is price 0, 0.1. Okay, continue 0.2, 0.3 up until 2.0. So this is example of floating price. Okay, so let's proceed next with declare an array name letter of type character that can store up until 26 characters. So this one is example one. You have done it before. Have test a character letter, and you can just put it 26 characters. Okay. So this one is a simple one. As you can see, this is example. Okay, y integer. Okay, float price and calculator 26. So I am copy paste this one. I will copy paste this one and put it into your message so that you can copy and save it for your future reference. Okay, so this one is in your message. Okay, you can copy that and save it in your own code blocks. Okay, so let's proceed back to the course. Okay, so next is the initialization of array. Okay, so initialization of array, you have two ways, which is compile time initialization and runtime initialization. So what does it mean by compile time initialization and runtime initialization? When you compile, before you compile, you are declaring the variable like this. There are 5 numbers for integer number, 5, 3, 12, 7, 10, and you are defining it like this. Okay, and then you have vowel A, E, I, O, U, V. Okay, and then character name. And to define character, like for example, name to 10, okay, name 0 is Ali. Okay, here name 0 means the first person, okay, with 10 alphabet is Ali. The second one is Abdullah. So when you define the content of an array while you compiling, okay, when you compile, you need to use for character, you need to use string copy, strcpy, string copy here, so that it can define it as a proper string, okay, under the variable name 1, name 0. Okay. So in the computer memory, if you look back your computer memory, which is your computer cabinet of information, so you have your number stored in the memory location 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, like this. And then another one like this, A, I, O, U, V, and then the third one for name, it will store in your memory location like this. Okay. Okay, so name 10 Ali. Here you have 10 space for you to put in characters. The characters of Ali only taken 3 space among the 10 space in the name. Okay, so here let's do the second exercise. Next is declare an array named price, okay, of type float that can store up to 5 floating point number. Give any 5 initialized number for this array. Declare an array named student ID of type character and give the initialized value for this array with your own student ID. Okay. So can you guys do this first while I take a break for a moment? Okay. So let's figure out how we're going to do this. Okay, I'll give you a short answer. How do you initialize a float number? Okay, like for example, float price here. This you need to make a bracket first. So for example, 1, 2, 0.3, 0.5. Okay, and 1.0. Okay. This is how you initialize. Okay. So this is how you initialize a floating number for float price. Okay. Okay, then try to create a student ID of type character and give the initialized value for this array for your own student ID. How do you do it? I think this one is more simple one. Okay, let's just proceed first. Okay, for student ID, so you have 7, I think, for your Okay, let's make it 7. For example, I have my 30 student. Make it 2 first. Okay, so when I initialize this one, I need to make it a string copy. Okay, here is ID 0. Okay, then you put in CA. So, wait, you need to make sure that you put semicolon. Okay, so you can just copy paste and do the second code. Okay, so where you want to display in case. So let's try to look. Okay, I've been a while since I last do this. So let's try whether I get it correct. Okay, so so let's try and produce this one. What kind of result we get? Okay, so I had error here. So where's my error?
To have 2 brackets.
2 brackets. Wait, I expected this before. Oh, there are 2 brackets. Okay, let's try. 7 only. I think there are some problem. By the way, let's just run. Okay, nothing came out. So what did I do wrong? %s for strings. Okay, what did I do wrong? Anybody got an idea? What did I do wrong? ID 0, 2, 0, %s. Okay, so let's refer back. What did I do wrong? Okay, string copy. Oh, maybe I used the Mozilla. Okay, one more name. Oh, in explicit declaration of built-in function string copy. So this might be another error. But supposedly ID 0, ID 1, ID 2. Okay, there are some problem here. Okay, so why does it appear like this? So
String.h. Agree?
string.h. Maybe that one. Include string.h. Okay, so let's take a look. Is it correct? Maybe you are correct. String.h library. So now I have a result here. ID 0, 2000. Why does the 2002 and 2003 also appear? This is kind of annoying. So when you do the coding, okay, you might see that this is a little bit troublesome. How can I make sure that this does not occur? Okay, I'm not sure what is the error here, but there is definitely some error here. Okay, so maybe if you can find out what kind of problem that caused it, you can share with us later on. Okay, this is the code I shared in the message part. Okay, so you can see you can try that in your own code blocks. Okay, I think I did all the same. Okay, should have any problem. Maybe in the display part I did something wrong, which you can try and manage them yourself later on. Okay, so this is ID. Supposedly it should be. How did I define this? Okay, you can discover this by yourself later on. Okay, I also try to check back what is the problem with this. Okay, so let's proceed next. Okay, with okay, next function. Okay, so next is where we do the runtime initialization. Okay, the runtime initialization is like what I did using a for. Okay, before this I did show you how I insert number into an integer array for 20 numbers. Okay, like for example in this case, okay, num3. Okay, num3 I. Okay, so I is equal from 0 until 2. Num0 is 0, num1 is 1, num2 is 2. Okay, I plus plus. So this is what I did before. We call it runtime initialization. Means that you define the array variable while the program runs. Okay, before this, we define it before we run the program. So means that before you compile it, you define it first. Okay, in this case here, okay, you define it after, okay, you run the program. So while the program runs, okay, the variable will change the value of its contents according to the codes that you have. Okay, in this case, just a simple code defining according to the number of the loop. Okay, I0 is 0. Okay, I1, case 1. So this one representing this one. I1, okay, num I1, 1. Okay, so it loops 1 and then finish 1. Okay, second. Okay, 2 and then 3. Okay, 3. Once it achieves 3, it will now continue into the variable again and it will finish the variable here. So you can also pass the value from somewhere to an array, okay, by using something like this. Number 0 is equal 10. Number 1 is equal 20, for example. You can define it by yourself directly when you do the coding. Okay, this one, define before you compile. Or you can input information inside an array. So you want the user itself input the information inside the array. Here you have scanf %d and then you have n number 0. Here you can insert a number inside an array of array at the first row. And here you can print out the value from an array like this. And also here if you're passing a character value into an array like this, okay, you can pass in scan value, okay, and then you can print out the character value from an array, or you can pass in string. Okay, here you have, okay, string copy to pass in a value to array number 1, number 0. Okay, and then here you have a character name, okay, 520 as it's supposed to be name 0. And then print out the value, okay, here is number 0. Okay, supposedly the same thing that I did before, but I don't know why it appear wrong at the end. Might be something wrong with my compiler or something like that.
Doctor,
Yeah.
for the previous exercise, right,
Ah.
you put ID array 37, right?
Which one? The code block one?
Yeah. If you put
Okay.
38, ni jadi.
38. Ah, yeah, betul. Because you have 7 elements, right? Supposedly, 8 element. Supposedly, no, 7 element. 3, 8. I have 7.
Tak tahu
Not
lah
sure
kenapa.
why. So it depends on the compiler and the IDE as well. Okay, if you use 38, it appears correctly. Okay, there must be something that you need to consider with the compiler lah and the IDE. So here, in case you use code blocks, you need to put extra 1 space code. Okay, so here we have 7. Supposedly from 0 until 6. I don't know what they do with the number 7. Okay, so here, okay, based on Akmal mentioned, okay, 0 until 8 jadi. So it's safe to increase. Okay, to be safe, increase up until a little bit more lah, so that you will have some error proof at the end. Okay, thank you very much Akmal for correcting me. Okay, so let's proceed back next. So all these index, the read number here, representing row and not column. Okay, let's do this code here. Okay, integer number 235. Okay, so Ali Abu. Okay, so I want you guys to run this code inside your PC and try to do it yourself. Okay, the first one and the second one. Okay, you can try and run it yourself. And please, if you have any question, you can ask me later. Okay, I'll going to take a 5 minutes break. Okay, try to run it in your code blocks first. Okay, so if I run this one, oh no, main. You need to include the library. Yeah, don't forget to include the library. Okay, so when I run this, supposedly the result will look like this. Okay, will look like this. Okay, so I'll take a 5 minute break here. So how is it? How do you guys do? Okay, for the first question here. Okay, do you have any question? Do you have any questions so far? For the first question here, first example. A simple example, right? So this one is how we define and we produce the result from the array. Okay, so for the next one, okay, from the next one, okay, is where you have how you. This one is how you key in. You enter an information into an array. So when I run this one, oops,
Doctor, there are a lot of error here.
the error is caused by this symbol.
Yeah, the scanf also.
Scanf nya error. Okay, symbol. You need to make sure that this is usually the IDE problem lah. Okay, that's why I had a lot of problems when I copy paste your answer from your hand-on test. Okay, because of this kind of issues. So next time, I think I need to have your C file easier for me to analyze. Okay, so make sure that you have the correct symbol. So once you have the correct symbol, okay, should have no problem. Okay, so here you can see I have run it, enter integer 1. So I have put in integer 1 is, for example, 10. Okay, 110, integer 110, the float 1 is 0 0.5, 0 0.5. Okay, enter character 1. Oh, why does it skip my character 1?
Doctor, I think you have to put space before the %C.
This one.
Yeah.
Let's try again. Okay, so this one is 10, 0 0.5. Ah, you're correct. Okay, we need to put space before the percent. So here we have character 1 is R. String 1 is, okay, my name. Okay, right. Okay, string 1 is Shafiq here. Okay, so you can see that you can produce the result perfectly. Okay, so okay, I'll copy back this one and share it with you guys again in the message. Okay, you can try it again. This one is correct one. Okay, and run it by yourself. Okay, so let's proceed next. Okay, next part is okay, here by using for. Okay, this one, okay, this one is as I mentioned before. Okay, you can use for to define the content of an array, like I have shown you at the beginning of the class. Okay, so the easiest way to define a number inside an array is usually we use for. Okay, if it's a, a some kind of like continuous number or it can easy linear number, it's easy to make the content of an array using the for. Okay, so here, okay, you use for. Okay, how many age to enter? Scan F3. Okay, for example, 3H. Okay, when you run, okay, so let's just try a little bit here. Okay, let's try this one. Age 100. Okay, integer ij. Okay, will age. Okay, and here, how many age to enter? You define how many age you want to insert. And here you have enter age number. Okay, here. And scan F, what is the age? And here, age number, this one is this one. Okay, let's try and run this. Okay, so see here is the program. How many age to enter? Let's just put 4. So age number 1 is 10. Number 2 is 23. Number 3 is 34. 4 is 35. So you can see that the output here is number 1 is 10. Age number 2, 23. And age number 4 is 35. You see, we use 4. So the first 4 is for you to key in the age. The second 4 is to produce the result. So the result is produced by inserting the J. Okay, you see here the first 4 using I, the second 4 using J, the third 4 you can use K, L, M, N up until Z or whatever, ZA, okay, how many you want. Okay, so here J are calling back the age number. Okay, so here you see that they put the age, okay, here, age start with 0. Here, J plus 1. So you can see the result here. It doesn't start with 0 because you use J plus 1. So age number 1 is 10, number 2 is 23, 3 is 34, 4 is 55. It doesn't start with 0, 1, 2, 3. It start with 1. So sometimes people keep mistaken the the index due to that they think the first item is start with 1. Usually in index we start with 0. Okay, so the first item the index is 0, so you need to make sure you are careful with that. Okay, so here we have another one. Okay, you can see that here when I insert this one, it is similar to integer age. Okay, this number is declaring, okay, the index of the variable age. So this is one you need to be careful. You need to define it here. So I think we did define it in the codes here. Okay, you can define it as here age 100, or you can define it in the middle using scanf variable here inside the definition here. You can do 2 types of definition that you can do here. Okay, both of them are correct. Okay, next we are going to look at multidimensional arrays. Okay, so multidimensional arrays, you have 2 index. Okay, it's like 2 cabinets like this. You have 2 columns. So the first dimension is the rows. The second one is the column. Okay, so you need to make sure that you understand the row size and the column size. So when we have, like in this case, we have integer number 54. Okay, integer number 54, you have 5 rows and 4 columns here. And you can fill in any information inside these rows and columns, okay, with the combination of the rows and columns. So here is 00, 01, 02. Okay, you can see that. How do we define this column, this cell here? This one is number 00. This one is number 03. This one is number, okay, anybody can guess what is this one? This one number what? Anybody can give answer? This one, the number 2 here. Defined as number what? Hello, hello, can you guys hear me?
43.
43, yes, correct. Okay, so this is one is number 43. Okay, so when you declare them, you declare with a bracket, one for rows and one is for columns. Okay, this is how you declare them. So when you declare, okay, what we did before is we declare strings. Okay, 5, 9. So strings is basically a multidimensional array of characters. Okay, you have 5 rows that representing the 5 strings here, and the column is representing the characters within the strings. Okay, so this is what I've been telling you guys before. So here you have declare amount as a floating point array with 4 rows and 3 columns. Okay, let's try and do this one first. Okay, let's clean it up. So when you want to declare floating point, so you do float, okay, array amount. So when you want to declare floating point, you can use 2. Like for example, we have 4, 4. Okay. So what kind of information you want for 3? Sorry, 3 columns. So what kind of information you want to declare inside it? Usually we use for within for. So here we have for I equals 0, I is less than. Okay, so the first one, 4 is the row. I less than 4, I plus plus. Okay, so we need to forget integer I, j. Okay, and then inside this 4, we do another 4. This one is for the column. I equals 0, I is less than 3, I plus plus. Okay, so here is for the column. Okay, so here when you look at what will happen, this is what we call a for within a for, nested loop. So this, not I, sorry, this one is j, supposed to be j, cannot use the same variable twice here. Okay, j. So when I is equal 0, it will check for the first row, column 1, column 0, column 1, and column 2. Okay, and then it goes to I equal 1, and then it goes with j equal 1, 0, 1, and 2. And then you go I equal 2, and then it's go j equal 0, 1, 2, and then I equal 3, 0, 1, 2, and then I equal 4. 4, we don't have 4 here. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, and then here it goes to the column first, and then it goes to the row first, and then inside the row it inspect every column. So when I insert something like this, amount I j, okay, here is equal, okay, amount ij is equal, how can I say, I plus j. Maybe we can do I plus j. No, because it's a float. Let's do it uh, I times I plus j. Let's do I plus j times 0.1. Okay, so let's print out the result. Okay, when you print out the result, it's best, easier to see if you create another loop. Okay, here you have I, j. So this one is supposed to be f float. Okay, here I just want to display the result. Okay, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. Okay, let's try and put the run. Oops, supposed to be /n, easier to see. Okay, so this is the result. You can see here 0, 0 is 0, 0, 1 is 0, 1, 0, 2 is 0, 2, 1, 0 is 0, 1, 1, 1 is 0, 2, 1, 2 is 0, 3. You can see This one is a result of addition of this row and column number. You can see we have all of this combination that has been shown here. Okay, so if you see, array and also loop make a lot of definition tasks easier. Okay, so when you do coding, okay, best if you use a lot of array and a lot of loops to make things easier, to automate a lot of input. Okay, like for example scanf, because a loop, it helps you to repeat tedious tasks with the shorter codes. Okay, so you can try this in your own PC. Okay, I put it into the message, so you can try and look at the message in a Google message for you to check and try by yourself. Okay, next one is, let's clear this one. Let's do that one, subject name. So supposedly a string with name, subject name. Okay, supposed to be subject name. So if you put in 2 words, you need to put underscore. 7 rows and 30 columns. 7 rows and 30 columns. And we finish here. And you can just put in a for you to help key in all those information there. 0, 1, I is less than 7. Okay, so here for each printf, send s. Okay, so here we have, okay, first for, you have second for to display the data. Okay, let's make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, let's try and run this one. What will happen? Okay, I forgot to declare. Okay, if you use 2 for that is not inside of each other, like this one, 2 separate for, one up and one down, not inside of each other. Okay, you can use the same I variable again. Okay, you can use the same variable again. Okay, so let's see what kind of program that I have. So here I enter subject name here. So I need to enter 7 subject name. So I put math. Okay, so and then supposedly it enter again. Why it doesn't repeat? Let's put same subject. Okay, so here you can see that I've entered math, science, math, BM, English, math 2, math 3. However, math 4 is not taken. So what is the problem here? I think there is some problem. Okay, let's remove this one. Okay, so let's try. Okay, this one is better. So you can see that I can put my result, course taken, math 1 until math 7. So this is an example of using array and for, you see that the program is quite short. Okay, so if you can just do printf, scanf, printf, scanf, a lot of printf, scanf, but when I'm marking, okay, those who do program like this deserve a better marks. Okay, so you can try this in your codes, okay, by yourself. Okay, so let's continue again to the next part. Okay, try the code by yourself inside your own code blocks. Okay, so here we have two-dimensional arrays initialization. So the first one, when you want to initialize the content of two-dimensional array, you need to do bracket within bracket like this one. Okay, so it's kind of tedious. Okay, but in case you don't have any choice, you have to put it like this, you have to enter it like this. Okay, so just a note to reminder, one of your final exam question require you to insert something like this. So make sure that, okay, your final exam question already finished. So one of your final exam question require you to insert data something like this inside your code and process the data based on this input. Okay, so you make sure that you understand this kind of initialization. Okay, so in the computer memory, it will define like this. Okay, so here is how you initialize to the array for string. Okay, you can initialize it like this. Okay, without an inner bracket or even with the inner bracket. So as long as it has the apostrophe here, okay, at the top, double apostrophe here properly. Okay, so next, okay, for runtime initialization, like I showed you before, you have to use a nested loop. Okay, nested loop means you have a for within a for, a loop within a loop. So you have to use two variable, variable I for the outer loop and variable j for the inner loop. Okay, so that you can fill in the column first and then go to the next row, fill in the column first. Okay, something like this. Okay, in the computer memory, it will recognize it like this. And next is one of your final exercise. Or should I think this one will be in your lab session. Okay, so it'll be in your lab session. So try and solve this problem. Okay, if you have any problem, you can just message me. Okay, maybe later on I can share the answer here. Okay, so for input and output for 2D arrays, you need to remember when you put 2D array number, okay, for scanf or printf, okay, you need to make sure you put in the the column number and the row number. Okay, a row number and a column number. Row number first, column number second. So when you scan F, make sure don't forget the row number, column number. And when you print F, don't forget the row number, column number. This one is for integer and float. Okay, so for array of character, you have to define it according to the for array for defining according to the character. And in case of string, okay, you can just define it as the row. You don't need to define it according to the column as well. You can define it as a row. When you define it as a row, you need to use %s. When you define it as a character, means that you want to know what character in which column. Okay, you can define it as %c. Okay, so we have a lot of example for this week. Okay, so that you can try and run it by yourself, so you can understand better of how we do it. Okay, so I will give you on Thursday. I will give you an assignment. Okay, and an assignment for you to complete within 1 week. Okay, so the 1 week a little bit more means that the next two lecture, okay, not next week, the next other week, you have to submit them by the next 2 weeks. Okay, during that time, okay, I want to see the assignment has been submitted to me later on. Okay, so here is an example of some of the array example. So I don't think that it is difficult. Once you get used to it, it's easy. And you will like to use it better than you use a lot of variable. Okay, before I end our class, do you have any question? Do you have any questions so far?
Doctor,
Yep.
what is the passing mark?
Yep.
Passing mark for this course?
For computer science is 50. I'm not sure. For you guys, maybe 40 what? But for computer science is 50. I'm not sure for you guys. So it depends on your. I think it's 50 as well. 50 or if not 40. So to be safe, just get 50 lah. Okay. Do you have any question? Other question?
Okay, Doctor.
So we have two
Doctor,
more.
is the
Yeah.
assignment individual or in group?
Assignment will be individual. I will give
Alright,
the
thank you.
task according to individual. So you have to do the coding according to the task given to you individually based on your ID number. Okay, any other question? Any other question? So that's all for today. I see you guys next class. Not next week, the other week. Okay. Next week you can see me as well in YouTube. But okay, I'll meet you again face to face in the next 2 weeks. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum. Bye bye.